And it was like an organization that, worked with the cities and stuff like that. And they wanted me, I don't know how they found out or anything, but they knew that there was a younger man in the city, new injury. They wanted me very much part of that, so I can talk about it and draw younger people, but my age and all that, to get them back in, to get them to the community. And of course, I didn't want. I said, nah. I look back now, I go, I wish I would have, because I don't know if it even exists, but they were trying to do good. They were doing, 50 years ago what some organizations are still doing today. Yeah. They're trying to do today as well. So, so I kind of turned that down and kind of went my own way and just,
And I get that at that age. Yeah. Especially when you're like still trying to wrap your head around it. Right.
Yeah. You're like, I'm no spokesperson for this place I didn't want to be, so don't put me on the seat.
Exactly.
Speak forever.
Well, and the thing is, your attitude, it's life. You're going through life, and it's a bummer that this happened and all that. But luckily, the way my mindset was and the way I was raised, I didn't look at negative. I looked at, what I can do, and that's why it was so important for me to do the walking thing, because I set my mind out to do it. I go, I'm going to do this, even though I wasn't fooling anybody. I was on crutches and braces. I wasn't, smooth little gait and walk and stuff like that. But it didn't matter because I was getting around and it was eliminating barriers for me.
Yeah. No, I can relate. I've had, and this was just not too many years ago. Never anybody had ever, I guess, accused me of this, but they accused me of like passing. Like I was passing as an able-bodied person. This came out of a conversation that I was having with somebody and just relating my experience. And and they didn't use the word, but in so many words, that's what they were like accusing me of, trying to not be disabled. How do I not be disabled walking around on braces and crutches?
And it doesn't come easy getting on those crutches and braces, how long it takes for you to be comfortable on them, to have the endurance and stuff. It was one of the hardest things I'd done in my life. Was that. It was like going from trying to take a half a step, to when they start measuring the distance finally and all that stuff. It's an accomplishment that you feel that does make you feel good because you fought hard for that.
And all of that was before my memory. I started a year old. And so I'm sure it was, but I still remember some of that. I went to a school that had physical therapy and occupational therapy within the school. So that was part of your school day. You'd go and learn math and writing and all that. And then you had to go in for physical therapy and
stretch your legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And physical, I remember not liking physical therapy.
Oh my gosh.
OT was okay. Kind of enjoyed OT. That was all right.
Well, I hated physical therapy. I did not freaking stand it. And then when I had to redo it when I was, older and had my back surgery, then I super hated it and it ate my summer and,
right.
It's demanding. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? I know how getting through the pain and all that stuff kind of lays the foundation for any of the other pain in your life. But it's being responsible to your disability.
Yeah, and to your future self. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can go on with life, and there is life after paralysis, stuff like that. It's what you make it. The whole positive thing, but you got to just keep moving in that direction. I don't really, and I know a lot of people when you talk to them, especially when you see new patients and. They see me all these years, it might be a reality check for them. I don't know if it's positive or negative when they see somebody like me being in a chair that long and they think, I'll, another year or so, I'll be up and about, so I don't.
Which is very common, right? It is very common for people who are newly injured. I'm going to work really hard at this. I'm going to walk again. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I shatter people's bubble or not, but it's just a reality. My point is that, I can be happy. I've had a good life. I could always do better, and stuff like that. But that was something that I kept trying. And so, sure, things can get better if you really put your mind to it and keep that positive attitude. Because I know when we talk to patients and stuff like that, that's the one thing I try to push a lot, because we all know, you don't want negative. You're not going to attract with negative. You're going to attract with positive. So, yeah. And like I said, I got through it. Sometimes, I mean, I still have my ups and downs. There's no doubt about it. Where you wake up in the morning, feel like you just got that little cloud around you. So, I sulk and complain and talk to myself and all that. But then I get out of it and start whistling and getting myself happy, and I'm okay.
I mean, that's just being a human. Like, we all show up with a cloud some days and say, screw this, I got to go back to bed to get up on the other side. Like, that's just humanity. But it can be more complicated by how our physical body feels and the effort it takes to push to the bright side of the street, because your body's exhausted, but your brain has to work.
Yeah. So, yeah, really.
Yeah. Do you feel like that was part of that transition to, accepting it and thriving?
I think for the most part, I think I accepted it. I don't know if it's 100%, but I accepted the first few years, first couple of years, easy. Maybe the first year, because I was going out with my friends again. None of my friends left; they were still all around. So then when I moved away from my parents' house, we got a place down in the beach area where we all grew up. I didn't grow up in the beach city itself, but we were so close that we used to be there all the time. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud to call myself a survivor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I don't remember. There's just memories, some I don't have, but I kept moving forward. I worked. I went to work right away. Finished my school right away. Did what I could. Got into the job market, and I wanted to make money. I wanted to get back on life. I did wheelchair sports a little bit at the beginning, which I loved. And it shows you what you can do. It's just not sit there and do all that. So yeah, it all kind of went pretty well. I look back now, but like I said, it's just the aging now. Yeah. Just that.
Yeah.
And that's.
I don't mean to keep whining about it, but I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised how different it gets again. How hard it was when you first made a transfer when I got hurt and all that stuff. Well, now it's getting that way again.
Going back full circle.
I'm making that circle. I go, now here I go again. But, just a little more experience. And I try to develop different techniques, whatever makes it easy, or don't put myself in that position. I don't know. There's a lot that's changed. Mentally, like you mentioned earlier, mentally, physically, and it's a lot. And as you get older, what I'm finding out, so I never really think anything more about being able-bodied. I mean, that's out of my mind now.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah. Well, because now I'm looking back, I go, God, I can't believe I used to do that. And then when I was young, after my injury, because just that resilience, and I look back now, I go, geez. But the thing is, for me, I feel and know I'm a survivor. So that keeps me going a long way, and that helps me to stay on that positive track, because I could have gave up a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's one thing I kind of worry about sometimes. When we're telling these stories, I don't want it to sound like that we're whining about our situation, because I don't feel like anybody feels that way that I've had on. I think it's just a opportunity to tell this whole story. I mean, I don't think I ever get an opportunity to tell my story, and the people that I have on, I don't think anybody ever gets the opportunity. With your family knows the whole story, so you don't have to tell it to them. But there are friends in your life, they don't know any of this. They just know you.
They just know that you can't. They just think you can't walk.
Yeah.
Or the way you're sitting in a chair. Yeah. They don't know all the other things.
The other things that go along with it.
Yeah. But they're just, the scheduling, the programs I got to do in the morning before we got to meet somewhere. They go, we'll be there at 7:00. They don't know what time I'm getting up to get my
to get there by 7:00.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about retirement is I don't have to do too many 7:00 things anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to it. I start at 6:30 every morning, so I will look forward to it.
It'll come. So what did you end up doing for a living?
I worked. There was a grocery chain here in Southern California. It was Lucky Stores. So I worked at a trucking company way before that. Got all my experience in the logistics and transportation world. So that business went out of business, sold, and all that stuff. So